This review is presented by EV Dance, making EV charging seamless, efficient and accessible for everyone. Went to France with Renault to test the Renault Rafale and more specifically the new plug-in hybrid model, the E-Tech 4x4 300. Rafale slips into the very popular D-SUV segment where competition is fierce and where you can find cars like the Volvo XC60, Mazda CX-60, BMW X2 and the DS7. This model's design was created from scratch and is built on the latest CMF CD platform. The name Rafale means a gasp of wind or just wind and is a homage to the aeronautical industry where Renault has had a great history within. This is set out as an efficient but somewhat more sporty plug-in hybrid with its 300 horsepower, 4-wheel drive and 4-wheel steering, 22 kilowatt-hour battery, 1.2-liter 3-cylinder engine with 3 electric engines, provides a fully electric drive up to 105 kilometers in range, and a combined drive of up to 1,000 kilometers. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour is over in 6.4 seconds, and 80 to 120 kilometers in 4 seconds flat. What stands out the most is the trim level called Atelier Alpine, which instead of the 20-inch rims features 21-inch, an exclusive color called Satin Summit Blue as an option. And in this trim you also get an agility control system which has been finely tuned and developed by the engineers at Alpine cars, which allows the smart suspension to self-adjust with the help of a camera for predictive control. According to Renault, this makes the Rafale rather unique among the full-line brands and is supposed to make it perform on a higher level. But this without sacrificing the comfort and well-being a Renault should always offer. It's being built in Palencia plant in Spain and the launch is set to November 2024. I like the design. In many angles it looks neat and sleek, yet powerful, and with some poise and strong character. It doesn't really strike me of being a smaller SUV or a crossover. It's 471 centimeters long, 186 centimeters wide, and 161 centimeters high, with a wheelbase of 274 centimeters, just as long as the Espace. It's got wider track, 4 centimeters wider than the Espace, and a more sloping rear window by 17 degrees, which improves aerodynamics. The grille has 3D diamond-looking design around the logo, and when moving, its background differs in shade and color between blue and slate gray. The angry-looking headlights can be fitted with the matrix lights. The rear lights feature a micro-optic technology. They resemble a Chinese tangram puzzle, a square divided into 7 pieces when turned on, and floating ice cubes when turned off. Wheel archers has got black polished look, as well as the side mirrors and some trim along the rest of the bodywork. The boot space is 539 liters. The interior ambience is both elegant and sporty. Inviting environment in here. What strikes me first? Well, it's the overall look in here. Nice Alpine stitching in this with this blue, white and red all around. Also in the steering wheel, and the steering wheel looks really good. Really sporty. I like how it's flat on top, a bit flat here, not, completely flat. But anyway, feels sporty, feels comfortable, feels a little racy. You got Alcantara down here, and the buttons, well, they are not, like touch-based in any way. They have this physical touch to them. Multi-sense button here for the different drive modes. And then you're at home with the feel of the buttons here all around. Some of the buttons down here, good click. Like this one down here, feels like a thruster in an airplane. Very smart. You put your phone here, induction charger, EV mode button here for, hybrid, electric, or e-save. Got 2 cup holders down there, USB. Very good view all around. I like the seats. The Alpine seats are really good. They're very soft, so there are no hard edges. Even so, they keep you in place and are very generous. So I sit very well in them, and I think a larger person would do as well. Nice graphics here in the cluster. You can rearrange that a little how you want. Just perfect crispy graphics in this one. Like it a lot. Regen paddles behind the steering wheel here. You can do that in 4 different steps. And you got this nice screen here. Good graphics, very quick. The processor is updated. Also, the graphics are supposed to be a little cleaner and crispier. You get into the menus here with all the symbols and widgets and stuff. Seating adjustments, air quality. And I just like that there's so many bright, nice colors here. So it's a very clean look to everything. Intuitive and good. I don't think it's too messy here. It's just perfect. And I like how it's divided from physical buttons and that not everything is cramped into this screen. So you need to dig around. And then you can get into Sporty Chassis to monitor some of your driving as well. Glove compartment, really generous. Love that. Nice look here. A little plastic, this one up here, but it looks good. You got this LED stripe that goes all around. Compartment down here. So generous with space all around. You also got this big panoramic roof. So it lets in a lot of light, and you need that light because it is rather dark in here. Yep, feels good here. I'm sitting in a low position with my driver's seat there, but it feels like I can put my feet in rather good anyway. Some ambient light back here. The seats, they're a bit more firm back here. This one down, this armrest here, 2 cup holders. You can put that up and look at this. This is rather smart. And what you can do with this is that you can mount your phone and have it, towards you. Sit and watch something, or you can have a tablet. Very, very smart. And then you just fold them back in place. Seat chargers down there, but even though it slopes down a little like it does on many fastback versions or coupe SUVs as they are called as well, there is a lot of space. From my head up, I'm 175 centimeters, but 180, 190 centimeter tall persons can sit back here rather good. So the space is generous. Always appreciated to have this gear selector up here. I just completely love that. It is just such a neat touch, always doing it with a flick of your finger. So we drive the Atelier version, the Alpine Atelier version of this new Rafale. And this is where the Alpine team has done their job. So this is their most racy, sporty, and ambitious model. This car is built from scratch up. First off, I don't really like SUVs. I don't really like crossovers. I think they are always a car that is against the physics. I always like a coupe, I always like a sedan, I like low cars, but the market, the segment is so strong. This comes into the D-SUV segment, and that is a very, very popular segment. But what about its looks? Well, I think this looks rather good. It is a fastback, it is a coupe SUV, and that segment is always rather special. I like that a lot more than just a big boxy SUV. This is more sleek, and this looks good. You sit rather high in it. The battery is centered in the middle, this 22 kilowatt hour battery, which provides you with about 100 kilometers of range on pure electric. You can fill up the tank with 55 liters of petrol, so altogether, with the EV fully charged and with that tank full, well, you can get a range of about 1,000 kilometers. So that's fairly good. And we got this very beautiful color called Satin Summit Blue. So it's a matte color. And in this blue color, it feels like the Alpine touches. We got the optional 21-inch rims. Rims, they become so big, but they are very beautiful on this one. It comes with 20-inch rims. I mean, that is big enough. So we're driving calmly through a little town here now. We drive on pure electric. And then you can push this multi-sense button. Then you got comfort, eco, sport, snow, perso. I mean, there is so much settings. It's almost like you get a bit dizzy, but that is a selling point nowadays. Sometimes you just would be free to have a normal or a sport, and that would be it. But this is what it is, and this is what you get. Let's just keep on in the comfort mode here. It's a very soothing, relaxing ride, I think. I like the seats. They are generous. They are sporty, like in an Alpine way, but they're very soft, so there are no hard edges anywhere. And I like that. It's like a big bear that hugs you in some way. Like them. Well, this 22 kilowatt hour battery, you charge it overnight. Well, you can charge it at a speed of 7.4 kilowatt. And that is done in about 3 hours from 0 to 100. And then a little less if you do it like 20 to 80. But, you top that battery up. You want it to be fully charged each day you drive along. I love plug-in hybrids. I've had a lot of them myself, and it just fits my pattern. And I just think that it's great when they just extend the range like this. There are cars on the market that has a lot more, and that has a lot more powerful onboard charger. Remember charging the new Mercedes E400e, and that had a 50 kilowatt onboard charger, but I reached 53 when I documented that. So that is fairly quick, but what's the point? I mean, you get about 120, 130 kilometers, but should you do that on the motorway when stopping? I mean, that's for the fully electric cars. And on the topic of charging, EVdance is your #1 go-to online store for EV chargers, EV extension cords, adapters, NEMA plugs, and a lot more at very competitive prices. Quality products that are beautiful in design, rigorously tested, and practical to bring along when on the move with your fully electric or plug-in hybrid car. I use my EVdance portable Type 2 16 amps 230 volt EV charger every day for my EV and plug-in hybrid. There are also more powerful chargers to choose between. Now you can get the one that suits you best at 20% discount when using the code EVD-WATCAR. Check out the links in the video description. So the consumption is rather good. If you just drive on petrol with this one, well, then it is about 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers. And when driving on the electric and petrol engine, then it is about 0.5. So this E-Tech, they really brag about it. They really say that this is an effective system, and it sure might be. This has a lot of power, 300 horsepower, you got 4-wheel drive, and you got 4-wheel steering. And 4-wheel steering is always pleasant, because it always changes direction so quick. Maneuvering in town is really, really good, and when driving a bit quicker, well, you just need to get into that form of agility that it's got. So there's 3 electric engines on this one. One sits on the petrol engine, and then 2 on the rear axle. So it's permanent 4-wheel drive, but mainly when driving up to 70 kilometers an hour, it is front-wheel driven. And when exceeding 70 kilometers an hour, well, then it becomes a bit more rear-wheel driven. So a very good system in that way to keep the consumption down. I like the steering wheel. I love the shape of it. When it's cut down, cut and a perfect grip. You got some sewing from that Alpine colors. Blue, red, and white just looks splendid. It feels sporty, it feels racy, but it feels very comfortable and practical, if you can call a steering wheel practical, because it's not too big and it's not too small just to make it fun. It is just very honest. You sit rather low in this car, I like it, but even though you sit rather low, that it feels rather low, you sit rather high because it is a crossover, almost like a SUV type. But the window line, well, it is rather high, so you feel a bit cocooned, also in the back seat. And all these different drive modes, Sport, Snow, Perso, Comfort, Eco, and all of that. When you drive in electric mode, you got different type of horsepower outputs depending on what mode. And of course, when you drive it combined with the petrol engine, you also got different type of horsepower outputs. But when you floor it, I think it's a kick down when you, let's say you go in electric mode, Comfort or Eco, and you just do a kick down, well, then you will get all that 300 horsepowers. They're always there, as they say. Maneuvering it in town feels just great. It feels like a smaller car than it is. And that is thanks to this 4-wheel steering, of course. But also to that light steering. The whole appearance of the car just becomes very convenient, nice, and soft to drive. Like it. But sure, there is some firmness to this bigger set of wheels. It is a bit floaty in its character, but I think that it's enough with the 20-inch. Just keep them. So the power distribution on the electric motors, well, that is 70 on the front, 70 horsepower, and 136 horsepower on the rear. So it's rather rapid when just driving along and putting it into sport in the electric drive. When the 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine comes alive, it's got a bit of a rattling sound to it. But of course, a 3-cylinder has that character, and a smaller engine, it becomes a bit more, stressed when it needs to start working and start fighting. But we'll see how it sounds when we open the taps a little bit more. I kicked out, but sure, you can feel that there's some surge. 300 horsepower, well, that does its job. Well, it is strong. Now the engine got a bit of character. and it sits rather good. Agility control, get into the sporty mode. Here we got a little brisk corner, I think. Yep. And then floor it. Well, took some time there. You can't manage the gears in any way. All right, yeah. You can feel that it really turns in well. The agility control, the four-wheel steering, and the power. So performance-wise, 300 horsepower and 0 to 100, well, that is dealt with in 6.4 seconds, so rather quick. 80 to 120 kilometers an hour, 4 seconds dead. And that is a very important thing, you know, passing other cars. Okay, so let's pass this one. Yep, pretty good power. Well, it feels more like the electric engine is the one that does it. But it doesn't, you know, let you out, and the power doesn't come on that quick either. You know, it takes a little while. Brakes are good. About the power, it's not like it kicks it alive in some way. Even though I like the steering, it's very precise. You can really dose that and feel where you got the car. But it's really nice to keep the line. Understeers a little there, of course, and it bites a little in that type of corner. Okay, it's a bit open here, but the power comes on progressively. It doesn't kick. So, yep, let's feel the brakes. Pushing a bit harder. Get up tight. It kills it as soon as it starts to, you know, feel that it loses some grip. Well, then it activates the stability control again. That is very frustrating because still it's got some agility and you like to drive this one on these type of roads, but you want to disengage it so you can really feel how does it control, how is the body moving around. I at least want to feel that all the time. I always disengage the stability programs, but it engages it again. Well, it does its job around these tight bends. So the brakes, they do their job. They're very powerful. I like these. But as soon as it starts to squeak, well, then the traction control is engaged again. Driving downhill now, trying out the regen in its most powerful setting, and it really regenerates strongly here. So while driving downwards, well, you can just let the car roll. Now it's almost a bit too much, so let's set it in a bit lighter setting, like second. So yeah, you can calibrate that to what type of decline it is to regenerate some more power back into the battery. This is a safe product, and what you want to do with a safe product, well, you just want to drive it safe. You want to drive it economical, and you just want to enjoy this soothing comfort that this car delivers, because it does. It is very nice to drive. And the driving capabilities, it's got some dynamic abilities when you drive quick. Steering is on point, brakes are rather good. There's not that much, you know, travel where you feel that it should regenerate. So all of that is good. But the question mark for me is, why do Alpine need to get in and really fiddle about that much with this chassis to make it that extra sporty that they want to portray it to be? Because sure, it is sporty, but it isn't too sporty for that one that really wants this Alpine sportiness, if you understand what I mean. So what you do is that you just get back into comfort. I find the Rafale as being very enjoyable, elegant and sleek model that is strong in its D SUV segment. And it stands out with its design. It feels very planted when throwing it around the bends, even though I couldn't get the ESP to stay turned off. A car that both from the outside and inside makes you feel a little more happy due to the nature of a bit more vibrant and arty design, I think. Materials feels good, and the layout and real deal feel of physical buttons mixed with a quick intuitive system makes your daily drive a joy. Range in EV covers more than enough for your daily commuting needs. Smooth transition between the two engines works great, and you can all of a sudden plan for a long trip. And there is a very valuable feeling in that with a plug-in hybrid.